and someone I have the great honor of calling a friend. But first, I want to tell you a story because this plenary today is focused on anti-Semitism. And since October 7th, it's easy to think that anti-Semitism, at least ferocious, vicious, ugly anti-Semitism, is kind of new. So I want to tell you a story. The year is 1951. The place is Iraq. There was a knock at a door, and a little girl answered that door. She was asked if her father is home. It was early in the morning. She remembers that her father still had shaving cream on his face. Those soldiers came to arrest and take away that Jewish leader, parade him through the streets in leg irons, charge him with Zionism, and throw him in prison. That young girl is my mother, who's here, by the way. She's here, by the way. And that prisoner of Zion is my grandfather. Why do I tell you this story? Because after visiting my grandfather in prison, something that no little girl should have to do, he finally said, "Don't wait for me, flee, run, escape this place." And so my family fled. My grandmother, my mother, little girl, and my uncle who was a toddler. They fled across the border to Iran. Yes, to Iran. Because that Iran, unlike the vile, despicable medieval theocracy we see today, that Iran was a country that was pro-Israel and philo-Semitic. And the Shah of Iran gave asylum to any Jew who could make it to the border and escape. That same Shah, by the way, had rescued Ashkenazi Jews from the Holocaust, giving European Jews asylum in Iran. That was the Iran of the Pahlavi dynasty. That's right. You might have noticed there are demonstrators outside. In fact, now they're in the room waving flags. These are Iranian Muslim demonstrators for Israel. And that's the flag behind me. Dear friends, it is my enormous privilege to present to you His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of Iran. Reza, please come up here. And by the way, I think in this room, we probably prefer another title for you. So I'll call him His Majesty Reza Shah II.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to begin by thanking Dr. Adelson, Mr. Carr, and their team for convening such an important conference at such an important time. Today, we are on the precipice of history, not only for our nations and our people, but for civilization. We find ourselves on this precipice in the middle of a fortnight that is crudely illustrative of exactly what is at stake. Just days removed from the second anniversary of the murder of Mahsa Amini and the slaughter of hundreds of Iranian protesters, and days from the first anniversary of October 7th and the mass murder of hundreds of Israeli civilians. These crimes, these violations of basic dignity, these insults to humanity happened hundreds of miles away from one another. The victims were from different nations, shared different faiths, and spoke different languages. Different men pulled the triggers, wielded the clubs, and plunged the knives. But the culprit in each was the Islamic Republic, and the man at its bloody helm, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. These two terrible anniversaries in between which we find ourselves, however, are not standalone events. In the 1980s, the Islamic Republic and its proxies murdered Lebanese Jewish leader Isaac Sasson, bombed the US Embassy and Marine barracks in Beirut, and mass executed Iranians' military officers, statesmen, and Jewish leaders like Habib El-Ghanian. In the 1990s, the Islamic Republic and its proxies bombed the Amia Jewish Center in Buenos Aires, killing dozens of civilians, bombed the Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia, murdered former Prime Minister Shapur Bakhtiar, and killed dozens of dissident writers in a series of chain murders across Iran and abroad. In the first decade of the millennia, the Islamic Republic and its proxies rained missiles down on Israel, launched a global campaign of Holocaust denial, murdered American soldiers, and rained bullets on Iranian freedom fighters like Neda Agha Sultan in the Green Movement. In the 2010s, the Islamic Republic and its proxies attempted to bomb Israeli embassies in Georgia, India, and Thailand, announced their intentions to assassinate President Donald Trump, and slaughtered more than 1,500 peaceful protesters fighting for Iran's liberation. To this day, the Islamic Republic and its proxies fire missiles at Israeli civilians and American soldiers, and fire buckshots into the eyes of Iranian protesters. They bomb Israeli playgrounds, poison the minds of American students, and poison Iranian schoolhouses. They target your synagogues, and they raid our house churches. Yet, in the face of this, we have witnessed a remarkable solidarity between Iranian, American, and Israeli people. At the post-October 7th rallies in cities around the world, waving in the wind and shining in the sun, we saw the stars and stripes, the Star of David, and the Lion and Sun, the ancient and eternal Iranian flag, flying proudly side by side. The Iranian people stand with Israeli and Americans because before the Islamic Republic came for you, it came for us. Ours is a shared experience. We know your struggle. My friends, you in Israel are under siege. War is being waged on you from the south, from the north, from the east, and from a propaganda war in the West. All of this is being coordinated, supported, and directed by the Islamic Republic. Reacting to each of these threats independently, as if they were independent threats, will leave you in a state of perpetual vulnerability. Merely fighting Hamas or Hezbollah will not deliver security for Israel or America. You will be simply reacting, and your people will never have peace. The time of reacting to these reactionaries must come to an end. Iranians too tried to deal with this regime. They tried to reform it. It was under these reformists that the most brutal massacres of my compatriots took place. So trust us when we say no deal can be made with such a regime and no accommodation with its proxies. Trust us when we say that a regime that imports Hezbollah terrorists to murder its own citizens will never ever give up its jihad against you. Rising anti-Semitism is taking enough lives on its own. But the 20th century showed us that when that hateful ideology is backed by a regime that seeks to enforce it through violence, it is considerably more dangerous. So it is time to say enough is enough. It is time to draw a red line. Sadly, that red line had to be drawn with the blood of innocent civilians. Our Nika and your Shani. Our Puya and your Hirsch. The only path to honor their sacrifices, to prevent more innocent victims, and to bring peace for Israel, America, the Arab world, and my compatriots in Iran, is to send the Islamic Republic to the ash heap of history once and for all. But how? My friends, in the past year, Iranians and Israelis have stood in solidarity. But solidarity is no longer sufficient. Now it is time to do more than stand side by side. It is time to act hand in hand. As we stand on this precipice together, the question I put before you today is simple. Are you ready to do more than stand together? Are you ready to act together? The people of Iran have made their stance clear. They are fighting against this regime every day, and they are doing it with no support from the outside world. They have sent me here with a message. They are not only fighting to free themselves, but to free the Middle East and the world from the scourge of this evil regime. As they fight this fight against the Islamic Republic for all of us, do not leave them to fight alone. The people of Iran are your partners, not pawns. Pawns are expendable. My people are not. What we need in this partnership is beyond photo ops, rallies, and social media posts. What we need is a collaborative, coordinated campaign. We need to reinstate maximum pressure on the Islamic Republic. We need to offer maximum support to the people of Iran. And we need to facilitate maximum defections from the regime so that we can peacefully transition from this criminal dictatorship to the secular democracy the Iranian people are fighting for. This requires leadership in the United States, in Israel, and an Iranian partner. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to offer that partnership and extend a hand as a partner in peace. It is through this partnership, thank you. It is through this partnership, through this coordinated action, that we can achieve freedom for the people of Iran, security for Israel, the United States, the Arab world, and a true opportunity for a bright future for the Palestinians. If we fail to act and the Islamic Republic remains in power, none of that would be possible. But if we work together, we can secure prosperity and dignity for our people and stability and security for our world, and expand from the Abraham Accords to the Cyrus Accords. As we stand on the precipice of history, we do so united in our values and our vision. But now it is time to act. And when the lion and the sun rise again, the world will see a new dawn of peace. Thank you so much.